Okay. The basic word audit, if we go by the 100 years back when this profession started, more than 100 years. In fact, it started as as old as when the formal accounting started, double entry accounting system started. So auditing was there even much earlier age. Now, word audit and the fraud, are they related? Do you think like audit is always for fraud, or fraud is not always the intention of audit? Is anyone ready, volunteer to comment on that? No? As I expect, we want to be this workshop. So I want, participants to express their views, ask the questions, mention what are their experiences and, what they have read about these audits and frauds. No one volunteering that. Anyway, let me see if somebody raised the hand or no. No, not yet. Okay. So fraud and audit, if you think like why we do an audit, the audit is basically the simplest meaning is checking something, right? Checking the financial records, checking operations, checking. So once somebody checks something, that something checking is with a purpose, right? You always check something for certain. Hello? Is somebody trying to speak? No. So when you say we are auditing, you are doing an act of checking, and the checking is always done with a purpose. So if every checking is a purpose, why fraud is something different? When you check something with an intention that to establish accuracy, reasonableness, legitimacy, the fairness of the transaction, then we don't call it fraud. So what is that element which makes a transaction a fraud? It's already there on the screen. During this presentation, I'm not going to narrate or speak from the screen, although I will pick up the discussion from the screen. So, for example, I already mentioned what is fraud. So we are just discussing the fraud is what? Fraud is manipulation, right? Manipulation of accounting, manipulation of assets, manipulation of whatever we believe to be a transparent, acceptable type state of affairs. When it is not, we call that a fraud. So something which happens, which causes loss to a company or to a person, we will label it as a fraud. But do you think every fraud means every mistake is a fraud? Okay, let me take next so this was a very old model, now COSO standard. I think in your studies, COSO model and how to use it, how this framework works, this has been covered, or you must be studying this. And this is one of very basic tool to understand how the audit works and how through audit you can identify a fraud. So audit is not meant to detect only fraud, but audit can detect the fraud. I think this becomes very theoretical. Anybody heard of this forensic tools and data mining? Hello?
Yes, we have heard it.
All right. Okay, let me take this one example. Okay, I think we can begin with, since it's a workshop, let's do a one thing. So you understand the picture, right? This is a wooden pallet, right? Everybody understands this. So this is one of the audits where I found this fraud. Now, the story is that when we visited the site, we found what you see in the picture. Okay. Do you find something unusual about the picture? You can find, yes, pallets are lying and there are some, yellow colored, some are, dark colors, one blue colored pallets, right? And, this fraud came into, we felt like there is a fraud only when, during the audit visit on a second or third day, we were, three auditors, and we were just discussing among ourselves at the lunch time that there are a lot of wooden scrap here. And also, one of the auditors was checking the payroll. So he had noticed that there was a new purchase manager who had joined about a year ago. And he was sort of like saying that within a year, he got a lot of credit from the management, and he got a good savings in the wooden purchase. And then, he just incidentally mentioned that this wooden supplier company also is so happy with the purchase manager that informally they know that that wooden supplier company paid for the Goa vacation for this employee. Now this company was in Madhya Pradesh. I think we are all in India, right? So everybody knows Madhya Pradesh, MP, right? So these three of us, while sitting and we were just chatting about that, this sentence about Goa vacation paid by the supplier company, this started my tube light. We say that, it started my tube light. So that I got an idea why a supplier company is also happy, why, the employer company is also happy with this purchase manager. And, is there something connection, something where I did not find it. Is it logical? Like everybody is happy with this manager. So we said, okay, let's see that. Now, the third thing, when we started looking at the purchase register, we found that this manager had procured these wooden pallets from Maharashtra. That is neighboring state, correct? Between MP and Maharashtra, both are neighboring state. Now, you know that MP has lots of forests. Compared to Maharashtra, MP has more forests. MP has got more wooden, wooden business. So logically, it did not sound to me that this Maharashtra, through even with the transporter, the cost is lower than MP. So, but there was a clear, rate reduction compared to 2 years back. They used to procure from Maharashtra. Now from MP, and now they procure from Maharashtra, and the rate was lower. Then on the next day, the storekeeper was just mentioning, sir, this is a big problem. These wooden pallets are cracking so fast. Normally wooden pallets would, be in the life for at least a year. Now he says then 2-3 months, these are breaking. Okay. So we said, okay, but why is it happening? Are you doing some investigation? He said, no, but apparently it looks like that this is not a good quality wood. Okay. Then we asked for the PO. This PO, purchase order, showed that what is the grade of wood to be included, when they are supplying. So the supplier company has been given that this is XYZ of the wood, and this quality of wood should be the wooden pallet quality. Okay. And then we asked for that. So who has checked this quality? And this bulk shipment used to be there. So whenever the truck used to come, because it came from a longer distance, it used to be a bulk shipment. So you can save on transport. And so normally when they do a testing, they will test the first, second, outside whatever the pallets are available, then they will test and say that, okay, go ahead. Because we need to do only sample testing. Now, when we took this broken wooden scrap and we asked them a quality test, and the quality test showed completely 3 differences. Suppose this was supposed to be 22 it was only 19 like that. So when we started saying that if it is a 19 so if it is less than 20 what shall be the rate if we procure the similar quality from MP? And then the rate was even 5 rupees lower than what we were procuring. So ultimately, after a long investigation, we found that this was a poor quality supply, and this purchase manager and the company in Maharashtra had goody relations. This manager came from Maharashtra, and while he got recruited in the MP company, he showed this as a reduction, tried to bring his own supplier and make money. Sounds interesting? Has anyone come across similar thing before? Hello?
No, sir.
No, sir.
But do you think, is it possible?
Yes, quite
How
possible.
many times, for example, you have seen so many times the construction of wall, what is the normal size of the brick? Say 9 inches, okay? And how many times it is exactly 9 inch?
Very few.
So what people can do, they can reduce the 9 to 9.5 or 8 inches. And when you calculate, in the size of a 10, 12 story building, the number of bricks or now the block work, the number of the blocks required, if you multiply the quantity and if you reduce even half an inch of size, it will save that supplier a lot of money. Hello? So this was a one example. Let's go to, and now, if you think that this will happen always in all the purchases, then there is something interesting next. Okay? This was also another audit which, I had participated. You can, this photo is very familiar, right?
Yeah.
Is problem in my voice?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So normally you go to a seminar and you see the seats are arranged and there'll be a seminar and all that, right? And there are so many seminars, sales promotion done by almost so many companies. There are specialized marketing companies. There are companies organizing their own, marketing, product launching program, and all of that. Very common thing, correct? Now, if you have been watchful, like if you watch that, how normally happens in a seminar? there will be a registration desk, right? And as you reach there, they will give you an identity or something like, visitor badge, and they will ask your name and write down your mobile number and then, which company you come from and all that thing. Very common, correct? This you would have signed many places. Do you know why that record is created? Probably you can see that, yeah, those things will help them to understand who came for the seminar, who participated, and that information will be used by the marketing company to target the customer, do a follow-up calls, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, you see, most of the time, the participant's mobile number is also noted. Why mobile number is necessary?
To contact them in future.
Contact them in future, correct. Now imagine there is an XYZ, marketing company. They are launching a new product and they want to launch, do this marketing program in 20 cities of India. Okay. Now this particular case happened like it was a multi-locations within Mumbai itself. So one program is in Borivali, one program is in Dadar, one program in Kalyan, one program, Ghatkopar, Vashi, like that, okay? And while we were doing, so what happens is that we were doing a vouching, right? So every bill, now how this company who is hosting this, they will be paid. Normally, there is a fixed charge for the conference room and there is a food bill, for the breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever provided, maybe 200, 500 rupees per participants. And sometimes there is a package deal that, okay, up to 200 participants, you will charge 2,50,000. If it is more than that by 10%, you will charge XYZ. So there are different types of such contracts. It is called, the marketing expenses, right? So while we were doing marketing expenses, and for this particular company where they had made a tie-up with a particular an agency which were arranging these all hotels and all that arrangement for the seminar, successful seminar. They wanted to ensure that there are at least 150 participants are there. Now, when we were seeing one after the other bills and all that, hello? I'm hearing some noise of
That is when new participants join the meeting, so they have
okay.
unmute themselves. So that is the. And I'm here.
I think, but it should not be disturbing others. They miss my words. Okay. So while we were vouching that, somehow the junior auditors, normally that articles and all those people, junior team members, they notice that, sir, every time why there are 120, 130 type of, participants. And so that was a very simple question, that why we have always, so she was very amazed by saying that Borivali also we had 120 participants, Vashi also 125 participants, like that. And how come every time, it is between 120 and 130 only? Why it is not less than 100? Why it is not more, even 150? And I said, maybe, they know that whom to, invite and that, possible. Now, suddenly, that girl noticed that, certain unique numbers. Now, some people have a liking for the numbers. So she noticed some few mobile numbers, which she thought she had seen in another bill also. So if there is, say, for example, 008, now that mobile number is such a unique number that if you notice in somewhere else also, in a 120 list, you can easily identify. You can, while just glancing over the numbers, see show again 008. And then it occurred to her that, okay, let me check. And then she found that this 008 number, mobile number is same, but the name of the person is changing. And that number is also in Borivali, is also in Ghatkopar, is also in Vashi. So why that mobile person is attending every seminar for the same company, for same product? So that sounded to me like, nahi, ye to logical nahi hai bhai. Why somebody will go to that seminar for 3 times? Somebody can watch movie 3 times if somebody likes that movie, but nobody will attend the seminars, and that too from Borivali to Ghatkopar to Vashi. We know that Bombay distances. So then I said, okay, let's do, now thorough check. And I asked the team members, so they scanned those pages, and then we applied a, technique of extracting this, OCR techniques, optical character, recognition. So it converts that all the PDF numbers into a characters, and then we applied the match, and we found 20 numbers or names reappearing across about 5 bills. And then we started that, okay, let's go into history of this. So ultimately, we found that this gentleman who was claiming that seminar bills was adding the fake visitors just to claim higher bill. So this audit actually found a fraud. Now, that fraud was actually, it was not a fraud benefiting any of the employees, but it was benefiting the contractor. Did you find that this is something which you have come across anywhere?
No, sir.
So now be careful when you go next time. Attending any hotel seminars, you will find that after this event, this happened about 5 years ago. After that, I have been always, I find interest to see that, how these people are recording and all that. Now, to counter that, many people have the company engaging such agencies, they have started doing their own analysis. So they will take the visiting cards, and then try to match and all that. And the moment they come across that this doesn't seem to be correct, so they go into investigation. So sometimes, the auditors are asked specifically. So it is like the forensic audit. So they are asked specifically to do, a detailed investigation, and then many times this comes out, not sometimes or few times, many times it comes out, because this habit of, trying to earn more than what I have served, that is a very, very natural urge. The moment somebody finds that, nahi, koi dekhta nahi, okay? Or how's it possible, that contractor would not have imagined. Now, we would not have found it if we had done this exercise over a month, on a different period. Suppose this month I have already, checked the July month bill. Second bill came in August, and some another team member is auditing that, then we would not have found that. That the same girl audited 3-4 bills at a time of the 2 or 3 months together. And she liked the numbers, and she noticed that number, 008.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. I see there are a few hands that are raised, so I just wanted to see if there are any questions.
Yeah, please go ahead. I want people to talk. Yeah.
If there are any questions, we can unmute and ask.
No, these are the comments I can see.
Okay, I think they must have raised their hand. My mistake. Okay, I think we can go back. We can continue.
We'll continue. Okay. But I will happy to hear, your experiences, or, what could have been done the otherwise if the girl did not like 008 as a number, how we would have found. You can, present, you can discuss your own ideas of detecting similar risk. The risk here is, see, in all of the audit, all of the fraud, the basic element is the risk. The risk is that there can be fake visitors. So what is the control? How do we identify that the bills does not contain fake visitors? Okay. So always try to think in terms of what is the risk. Move on to the next slide. So in this presentation, we are discussing some this risk indicators or the red flags, some case studies. We already covered 2 case studies, right? And we are also discussing how to prevent the fraud. So as I said, some companies started that they do a cross check with the numbers, and in case they find fishy, they put the investigation team to verify the bills. And so the most important part, now in your studies you would have seen fraud triangle. Anybody heard about fraud hexagon? There are some people also talking about this hexagon as a new framework. Is anybody aware about this?
No, sir.
You can see that all the 3 elements are still there. Okay. Pressure, opportunity, and rationalization. It is still there. Pressure, opportunity, rationalization. But also it adds capability, collusion, and ego as the 3 more elements to consider. So what do you need to understand what is this fraud triangle? At least let's forget about hexagon. This fraud triangle is a very old model, very famous for many years now. It tries to show that in this situation, if this one or multiple of these 3 elements are existing, then there are fraud. There is a big potential for fraud. What's your learning about that? Do you know what is the rationalization?
No, sir.
If everybody can keep mute, then I can also keep mute is the rationalization. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Right now we have a situation, the current situation I'm talking about. We have an opportunity to discuss, but then okay, somebody says, if I keep mute, is there any problem? And no problem, because others are also keeping a mute. So the person who has even a one inclination, one moment inclination, that person will rationalize. He or she will believe that by keeping myself mute, I'm okay, right? So rationalization is a situation where if an employee is noticing that, okay, if my boss is, coming late by half an hour, I can also come late by at least 15 minutes, no problem. So that coming late, how do you justify your act? You are justifying the act by saying that if somebody is doing this, it is okay. So that means you are rationalizing, you are justifying your act. That is rationalization. Very, very common, very, very easy, like it is happening everywhere, every time, right? For example, it is always okay, to be there late at some event, right? Why? Because everybody comes late, so my reaching late is okay. That's the rationalization. Now, how does it help? The rationalization helps in fraud also. So, for example, if you know that, my office staff is taking some Diwali gift from the supplier, some Diwali gift. Now, if another supplier is offering me another Diwali gift, it is okay for me. He did not even mention, he did not declare, so even I will not declare. Now, Diwali gifts can lead to a fraud. Do you believe so?
Yes, sir.
Thanks. I think only one voice opinion is there. Thanks for being active, man. But just give me how a Diwali gift can be a fraud.
Several people collect from another supplier and they can sell them to other suppliers.
Sir, the intention of giving gift can lead to the fraudulent activity.
Correct. The definition of fraud doesn't mean that it has to be always in money terms. A bribery is also a type of a fraud. Now, corruption, bribery, these are the different words, okay? But ultimately, these are, by nature, these are fraud. Because why I will be, if once I receive, dry fruit box from one student, for example, and now during my, assessing the paper, if I see that student is failing because of 1 mark, the dry fruit box will remind me to add 1 mark. Because, oh, that student was very good with me. And if I give an additional 1 mark, is it not a fraud?
Yes, it is.
So that fraud doesn't come in terms of any money. It's not coming to add any money to my bank account, right? Fraud doesn't mean that always money jumps into like bank account. No, it's not like that. The other way, for example, if somebody deposits, this is very interesting part. Recently, it is happening with many people. I think somewhere in the next slide, we are going to cover that bank frauds. Now, आपको lucky draw लग गया है 10,000 rupee credit to your account and click on the link to see that it is confirmed. These kind of messages are very famous and you click on that and then we lose all of the money we have in the bank account, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So why we tend to imagine even if there is no link and for example there is a fictitious like without your knowledge in your saving account there is a 1 crore rupees transfer to your bank account, would you be happy or would you rush to cybercrime and go and report that no I have a 1 crore which does not belong to me, please take it as a complaint?
Yes, sir.
We will keep it.
Naturally, we feel, like there is chappar phad ke diya hai, right? So what happens now, according to, suppose you are happy, you said, okay, this is 1 crore, let me enjoy that, right? After 15 days, police comes to your home and they say, you received money from a terrorist group. You said, no, I never. No, there is a 1 crore money in your savings account. What are you doing with that? And what will you say?
Nothing.
No, you will be happily saying, sir, this is not my money. I never knew that.
Sir, it can be also detected by the PAN number as all the transactions are recorded.
It take time on that.
No. What are you saying? I did not get your
Income tax
word.
department will be aware of this money that it doesn't belongs to us as it is not linked to our source of income.
Correct. But those things, my dear friend, you go in a defense. Hello? Is somebody commenting on this? No. So what I was saying, you're saying that through PAN number, through our ITR, there are many ways to prove that it was not earned by me. The point here is that you will be in a defense mode. First, you will be taken into custody that please come, cooperate with us and now prove that, this is not your money and you did not intend to receive it. So, moment you receive such money, and if you are not reporting to the bank and to file a police FIR that this is the money which does not belong to me, indirectly you are accepting the money. There are lots of legal judgments on this, but the final truth is if the money does not belong to you, it is like somebody is throwing away, putting a drugs packet in your home and you are not aware. And now somebody comes to your home and backyard they open and they say, no, there is a drug packet found from your backyard, right? So you are taking the drugs. No, you can't say that, no, मेरे backyard में जो पड़ा है मुझे नहीं मालूम है, somebody has thrown, I don't know, I don't care. No, that is not the way it happens. So there are so many such transactions, so many such events, that has to be taken very, very seriously. Okay. Anyway, I'm going away from the triangle side. So rationalization is one. The other reason why people do a fraud is financial pressure. If somebody goes, somebody loses a big money in a bet or a big money on, anywhere, in a business, stock market, wherever, now that person will be in the financial pressure to make the loss good. So what is the easiest way? They will try to find how I can make money, free money in my hand.
To
And
fraud the company we work in.
not only it's not always for the company you work for. Sometimes it is with another company, right? But the question is, see, the fraud cannot be always only with the own companies or, wherever you work. We will also see the cases where the owners themselves have done the fraud. So the fraud is very, why it's a very, interesting human behavior. But these are the three elements you can, trace down. If you go back to, root cause, and then you will find that the person got and had an opportunity. So nobody is looking at it. So that is an opportunity. Even if you have a financial pressure, but you may not be able to do fraud if you do not get an opportunity. Now, how is the opportunity is available? The opportunity is available in form of that nobody is taking the seminar bills. So once the contractor knows that whatever I supply, that person in a wooden pallet, he knows that if I supply anything, only the front pallets are checked for quality, remaining pallets are not checked for quality. So he took that opportunity. So, all our further discussion is very much based on these three elements. And the ego collusion is like, now I don't want to actually do that, but sometimes there is somebody, my great friend is helping me, and then I made a collusion with that person. So that is also there. Another thing here in hexagon, it says capability. That means sometimes you have all this opportunity is actually deriving out of capability, but sometimes you have an opportunity, but you do not have a capability. But once you develop a capability, then, the fraud definitely happens. And the ego is something like, there is no solution to behavioral, that if you decide to do something and it satisfies your ego, then you will do a fraud. So although you have no rationalization, no financial pressures, simply because of the ego, you may do a fraud. These are the new dimensions being added to understand a fraud. But from a traditional model, a fraud can be understood. You will always, if you study a fraud, you will find these three elements always, one or all or multiple of all three will be existent in the fraud. Is that okay? Got some idea about fraud and audit?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So let me go to the famous case. How many of you have studied this Satyam case? Because now I believe many institutes have introduced this Satyam case as one case study for the study, to teach about how a good corporate governance should be and where it can fail. And this was, the most surprising part was, who was the person doing the Satyam Computers fraud?
The owner of the company himself.
Correct. Mr. Raju, right?
Yes, sir.
He himself, the owner of the company itself, the founder of the company itself, did this 7,000 crore fraud. Do you, I mean, do you feel that it's possible? It's not possible? How is it possible? I have a separate discussion on this. There was another one, Yes Bank, right? Now, please focus here. The auditor and fraud relation, right? Here, auditor was PwC, and the PwC was actually banned for, picking up the listed firms and that. But the whistleblower and internal inconsistencies. Now, internal inconsistencies is also a part of audit understanding, which these people deliberately kept hidden, right? They did not brought it to in the report. If they would have done that, probably they would not have faced this. But these were like very early age of, the audit and corporate governance and SEBI powers all becoming stronger and stricter. Then came this Yes Bank. Again, this came out during RBI audit. All the banks have got multiple layers of audits. So they have their own internal audit system. They have got statutory auditors and also RBI as, an overall governance auditor. And what was the outcome? CEO removed and bank was placed under moratorium. You see that, the amount of the frauds also. I think these fraud cases are, like ILFNS, maybe those people are interested in the stock market, they would know it. Jet Airways, very much everybody knows that person, made such a big name and now he is in trouble, right? He is still in jail, or I think the last what I heard was he was very, very unhealthy and he had trouble with his health. So I don't know what happened after that. But yes, Jet Airways, very famous, very big, very good, airline. And then because of the fund diversion, undisclosed liabilities. Do you understand what is undisclosed liabilities?
That we haven't disclosed yet.
Correct. But what kind? Can you just an example?
Like we have buy something and didn't report it.
The banks or other institution which are not recognized in the financial statement.
Transactions not recognized in the financial statements. Can you give me some example like, okay, this is not entered into financial statements, but it is still a liability?
Sir, suppose the company purchased.
Yeah. Suppose
Sir, suppose the company purchased some goods on credit in the March end, but it did not reported them in financial statements, and it carried forward them to the next financial year.
Okay.
So this year's liability will be reduced, showing more profitability in the statement, but which is not true.
Okay. That will be still a problem about accounting, provisioning problem, So yes, it is definitely, you can label it as undisclosed liability, but the root cause is that the accountant did not do the right job and the auditor did not do the right job of recognizing. Now, the undisclosed, what you said, you need to just extend that logic a little bit ahead. A purchase order wherein you have given a commitment, okay, but the material is still not dispatched to you. Now you have said a case where the material is dispatched but not received in my place. Now it depends on the delivery terms. If the delivery terms is from X factory from the supplier, that means the moment the material left from the supplier's factory, it is my property and I should account it as my inventory and as well as my liability. I am neither recognizing the inventory nor, providing the liability. So in that case, still it is not inflating the profit. Yes, it is undisclosed liability, but it is also undisclosed asset because that asset belongs to you, but we have not recognized. There are so many companies. The biggest problem is most of the purchase order, most of the understanding with the company is with the in the mind of the supplier and the purchaser buyer. They do not write on the paper what is the delivery terms, or normally referred in a commercial term is Incoterms. So, for example, if you have bought something from Indonesia, now you already given a purchase order to Indonesian company where we have said that your delivery terms is FOB Jakarta. Okay. The moment the shipment is loaded on steamer and the steamer left from Jakarta, now that material belongs to you. It's sea, freight, insurance, all of that is the buyer company's responsibility, and they should do an account, stock in transit as inventory in transit, and the liability to pay that Indonesian company. So undisclosed, there is another big, problem with the corporates like Jet Airways or some other companies. What happens is that they will have lots of subsidiaries also, and they give letter of undertakings or a director signed commitments. So those commitments are sort of undisclosed liabilities because they will have signed something. They have told somebody that if this company, my subsidiary, is not able to pay, I will pay it. So that is called corporate guarantee. So those kind of guarantees issued by the directors or the chairman or the managing partners and all those things are not disclosed because giving those guarantees does not require an accounting transaction. And this, you see here, the Ernst & Young resigned citing lack of transparency. So why that word transparency appears is that the auditors were not given a true picture about, how many places, how many types of commitments you given by you. And the one after the other subsidiary keeps on failing and that, the parent companies keeps paying it. Let's go to another one. This was with the bank. Shipyard did fraud with the bank. Then you know about the coffee day, very sad incidents. I think all the youngsters would know this. What was apart from outcome, the 10 crore fine and auditors banned for 5 to 10 years and that, there was a very sad event because of this fraud. Is anyone knowing about this?
No, sir.
No. That, CEO made suicide. He committed suicide. Coffee Day CEO. Punjab National Bank, Religer Enterprises, these are the list of cases. I am just presenting all Indian cases. So you can imagine the size of the fraud, these are the big size fraud. And, you can see that every year there is a fraud happening, correct? That this was like latest 2024 fraud. What do you mean by inflated sales and profits despite negative cash flow? Do you understand this?
Showing more sales.
How do you inflate that?
Just increase the number and the volume of them.
But how? That means you create 2 invoices for 1 dispatch?
Yes.
How is it possible?
Just numbers. We just create a pay slip and after that we repeat them.
So But that, okay, that will happen when you have a manual and, billing and dispatch, both are manual ways. So you can create invoice against two bills. But then, size of a huge company now, there is whole e-invoicing. It becomes very difficult. That is why GST created a lot of pressure on those people who are just, glorifying their numbers. Because now GST, through GST, because of the GST mechanism where, big size companies has to raise sales only through e-invoice. That means it is always online. So that it is inflating GST numbers also. And through GST numbers, you also increase the liability to pay tax. Now, even with the GST liability thing, people are doing GST scams. So, although GST has become a very good deterrent to fraud, but GST itself, people have capability, they find a loopholes to make GST scams. Ultimately, very sooner or later they get, caught, and then the people, there is always people are caught to, taken to jail or fine applied and that. But, okay. Let me talk this. So, as I told you, yeah, this was the first case. Frankly speaking, this particular case shocked me, because that time in 2008-9, Satyam was supposed to be, a very A grade type of a company. People would have, like to join a company like this, all those kind of things, And this gentleman made this. So you can read entire story about that, what actually did, in case you have not studied this. After 2009, after this case, I think in 2010 or 11 onwards, there were many audit institutes or training institutes use this case to understand how what things we should learn from the case, how we should improve our internal audit or checking, by which, in case something like this is happening with our client,